Good morning, IGN. Good afternoon, Screen Rant, and good evening, Sweet Baby Ink. I would say that I hope you're having a wonderful day, but I don't feel like being nice to sewage waste at this time. So it's finally time. We are now in the era of the Monkey King, one of the most iconic characters in all of fiction and certainly the most popular and beloved fairy tale of the 16th century. Written in 1592 by Wu Chengyan, who was a novelist and poet of the Ming Dynasty, Journey to the West went on to spawn countless iconic entertainment juggernauts such as Dragon Ball, One Piece, and many memorable TV shows and movies such as Monkey Magic, Saiyuki, Into the Badlands, A Korean Odyssey, and that is just to name a few. The story is timeless, and if you own a TV, chances are you saw some form of the Monkey King, whether it was a retelling of the Journey to the West or a show that was inspired by it. I can imagine how excited Chinese gamers must be to see the tale of WuKong told through this stunning new game by Game Science, because we in the West share that excitement. Well, most of us do. There are those that have fought tooth and nail to get this game cancelled and buried. There are those that would give their own kidney to see that this game does not sell well. There are those that just want to ruin anything and everything that is good and reduce all of our favourite stories into a dumpster fire of identity politics and representation hellholes. Now I've got to give the IGN's Scream Rants and Sweet Baby types their due. They really did everything they could to destroy the hype. Their persistence should be studied. It was unrelenting and unwavering, but they have failed. Like I said before, the tale of the Monkey King is timeless, and so is its influence over the masses. Ultimately, these sad, pathetic people were powerless before the might of the Monkey King. Nate recently said that gamers just want new games to burn. The Elden Ring, Sparking Zero, and now the Black Myth should all be proof that that sentiment is just not true. When a studio pours love into a game and produces something worth your money, they will get it, and they will get it without hesitation. We will go to bat for that game and that studio. We will advertise it for you. Word of mouth is the most powerful form of marketing, and the Monkey King is currently the people's champ. There are those that do not believe that the Chinese game studios should have the ability to make video games and sell them to the masses because of the country's political leanings or practices. But what does that have to do with the individuals that spend their days bringing a fairy tale to life for people to enjoy? What does the stances and viewpoints of a government have to do with the Monkey King? As if other countries don't have their problems. No. Gamers are here to play a good game, and that's exactly what we plan on doing. You can try whatever tactics you like to get us to not play this game, it is not going to work. Everything from slanderous claims against the studios to mistranslations by trusted, air quotes, gaming websites, we've basically seen it all in the lead up to this game's release. The idea was to create enough division to get people to pick sides again, but they failed, and they failed in hilarious fashion. We had Screen Rant saying that WuKong, a game about the Monkey King fighting mythological beasts from a tale written in the 16th century, was lacking in diversity and inclusion. Imagine that. Imagine the galaxy brain that put pen to paper and wrote that. Oh, actually, we don't need to imagine that, because here's the donut that did it. Samar Abadan, a senior staff writer for Screen Rant. She's apparently passionate about creativity and cultural representation within video games, valuing diversity and inclusion. And you know what? Fair enough. I ain't telling you what to be passionate about, but a bit of advice for you. Pick your battles a little bit better. I don't think going after the Monkey King was the best move. Then again, I'm assuming you've never bothered to read Journey to the West, or at the very least bothered to watch any of its many adaptations over the years. And look, it's been a while for me. Outside of Jin Mori in God of High School, Luffy in One Piece, and Goku in Dragon Ball, it has been a little while since I've brushed up on my Monkey King lore. But you best believe, if I was writing a review for a game that is this anticipated and has this many eyes on it, I'd make sure I was very well versed in the source material so I don't push for diversity or inclusion. It doesn't even make sense. Even in my rusty state, I know enough about the lore to know how stupid your statement was in your ass backwards review of the game. Revisionist and dogmatic are words that come to mind. Before we move on, I do think it's important to point out that Samar decided to repeat the now debunked accusations levied against Game Science for sexism and misogyny instead of acknowledging that they've been debunked. That should tell you that there was an agenda here, and one that was communicated across all of these games journalist companies. Imagine finding out that it's all a lie and then continuing to spread it. I recently came across a new YouTuber that goes by the name Fei Fi that I recently subscribed to, who translates the message from the Chinese developer that IGN decided to misconstrue.
That article accused of saying we don't need female players was written in this context. The developers weren't saying they didn't need female players, but that they didn't need to do things to pander to women and then treat them as a resource to attract men who wanted to date. Then came to the Black Myth Wukong period on August 2020. To recruit talent, they released a game demonstration video that shocked the entire China game industry. This small team suddenly gained overwhelming attention, and the creator Feng Ji posted the famous Weibo that IGN criticized as sexist, particularly the first sentence. 想扩圈多招几个，被舔到勃起不能 was translated by IGN as I wanted to expand my circle and hire more people. Get licked until I can't get an erection. My English isn't very good, so I don't know how native English speakers perceive this. But in Chinese, what he actually meant was, I just wanted to recruit a few people, but received more prize than expected, which made me feel uneasy. However, I wanted to clarify that just because I understand what he was trying to say doesn't mean I approve of his way of saying it. Again, you can call him rude and crude, but there's no need to label him as sexist.
Shoutouts to Fei Fi for translating that, but she is not the only one. Countless other Chinese gamers and people aware of this situation have translated the text, and they continue to peddle the lie. You know, IGN, maybe next time get somebody that can speak and read the language you're translating instead of relying on Google Translate. Might do your credibility some favors. You know what these guys did? They saw the translation, didn't take into account that even if something is translated a certain way, it doesn't necessarily mean it's accurately represented, and then repeated it in what they must have believed to be a gotcha moment. Honestly, if there was ever proof that a group of people have their heads firmly up their asses, look no further than IGN. Grifting is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but you could make a strong case for the insane grift they have been on. Can't spell ignorant without IGN after all. Oh, just going back to Samar real quickly before I forget. Turns out Samar works or had worked for a PR consultancy agency called Splendid Communications, a PR firm that pushes for DEI. Would never have seen that coming. Who would believe it? Well, since then, she's deleted her LinkedIn and apparently gone into hiding. Now look, despite her arse backwards review of Wukong and blatant affiliation to the poison in the Western gaming industry, these are just ideas, so at the end of the day, as much as I might think her ideas are dog water, she shouldn't be threatened or harassed, so I hope nobody's doing that to her. There is no need to stoop to their levels. Screen Rant removed her name from the review and said it was for her safety. Not sure how much of that I actually believe, but calling her out on her bullshit is enough. That said, if you're gonna put so much bullshit on the internet about a game everyone's excited for, I think you should at least stand on business. Of course they never do because they're usually full of shit. Let it be known that if you're going to bash, damn and condemn people with little next to no proof, please be prepared for the same energy to come your way. And because of all of the slander and unrelated press that the game has been receiving because of Western game journalists, the developers told those with early access keys to the game to focus on the game, don't bring up feminist propaganda or speak about COVID-19, which seems perfectly normal to me seeing as neither of those have anything to do with the game. Those weren't the only don'ts though, so let's look at them. Do not insult other influencers or players. This seems like a perfectly reasonable ask since you are reviewing a game. Imagine me getting a key for Sparking Zero or a new Yakuza game and then I start insulting random people. Doesn't really make any sense. Seems like they have to point that out because people can't keep their mouth shut and just review the game. Do not use any offensive language / humor. Do not include politics, violence, nudity, feminist propaganda, fetishization, and other content that instigates negative discourse. Do not use trigger words such as quarantine or isolation or COVID-19. That is blatantly in regards to what happened in 2020, but again, you can say whatever you want about China, but this has absolutely nothing to do with Journey to the West. Why would you even want to get an early access key and then put your viewers through the torment of having to relive an experience that not only ruined the lives of many people, but has absolutely nothing to do with the Monkey King? Do not discuss content related to China's game industry policies, opinions, or news. Again, I don't even know why you would be bringing any of that up when people are looking to get information on Sun Wukong. The fact that they had to point this out really tells you what people's agendas were. I wonder why they've had to outline these things though, when you really think about it. Do you think it's because every single time you journalists mentioned the game, you went on to talk shit about the studio based on a piece of text you didn't even bother to translate correctly? I'm all for freedom of speech, don't get me wrong. But if someone gives you a game to review and you're talking about COVID, I've got to wonder what the hell's wrong with you. Like I said, you can go after China for things just like you can any other country, but why do it during the review of a game about the Monkey King? That's like me getting a copy of a racing game from Saudi Arabia and saying, well, the racing game plays fantastic, but I've still not received comment about the country's views on the gays. Like, what the hell are you doing? There's a time and place, and the fact that they had to point that out to you people is baffling to me. If it was a political game dealing with real-world political themes and controversial issues that mirrored reality, and then they sent out this list, then sure, there's an argument to be made there. I imagine developers are gonna have to do this more when sending games from Korea, Japan, or China that don't adhere to the Western sensitivity standards. Well, this new Bleach fighting game has decent mechanics, but Tamsoft still hasn't made a comment on why they only develop games with characters that have big boobs. Like, piss off. Again, this is a 16th century piece of Chinese literature, you dumbasses. But you know what? Thank you, because even if this game reviewed badly, I was still going to buy it just to spite you assholes. And I think you've done most of the marketing for the game. When people know it's you guys that don't like the game, they're more incentivized to buy it, so thank you. And look, if you want to destroy the Western gaming market, go ahead. If these companies are stupid enough to let you, have at it. But clearly the Asian market has more sense than that, and there's more than enough variety for us coming from that side of the world. So go ahead. Kick up a fuss, set fire to your own backyard, destroy your revenue streams, do whatever makes you happy. You clearly don't get it and you don't know what's good for you. If this situation has taught us anything, it's that when developers want to give us a genuine piece of art that isn't riddled with absolute nonsense, we will show up, and we will show up in droves. What I think is truly happening here is we are seeing a shift in the power dynamics on where gamers are going to be spending their money. And I think these Western game developers and the journalists are afraid of what is going to come. I've been told by a few trusted sources that this is now the new gold standard when it comes to adventure games, when it comes to these Souls-like games, when it comes to hack and slash games, when it comes to representing boss characters in the game, when it comes to terrain, when it comes to music. I have been told by multiple people now that this is the benchmark, that WuKong has raised the stakes, and I truly think that these people are terrified of their positions and where people are going to be spending their money. Because I haven't played it myself yet, this is just a theory, but I think it's a game theory that will actually pan out. No amounts of Alyssa Mercantes or the like have the means or the power to stop us, and there's plenty to look forward to. So once again, let them do whatever they want to do to their own games. Money talks, so eventually they will have to listen or they will be out of jobs. I'm off to begin my journey to the West, and I hope you guys are as well. Big up all the gamers that stuck it to these idiots and purchased the game. And look, it's completely understandable if you haven't purchased the game for gameplay reasons and you want to see how this plays out. That is perfectly legitimate. I don't blame you. There's a lot of games that I wish I waited for. I'm very excited for Journey to the West, so I'm getting this day one, and hopefully everything is in working order. Long live the legend of the Monkey King, and long live the humiliation of the Western gaming journalists. I'll catch you all very soon. Take care and peace.